Well, today we're going to take a look at the redesign of the SOG Trident for 2020 in their AT-XR series and share with you a few reasons why I think it's the coolest knife out of their new AT line. Well, hey folks, that's right. Welcome back to the garage, to another video here at Gideonstactical. I'm Aaron, and we're gonna have some fun. Now, recently I did a full feature-length video on the new SOG AT-XR series. This is where they basically went back to the drawing board and redid some of their classic designs, the SOG Flash, the Aegis, and the Trident. And so they came out with new locking mechanisms, new features, and I think for the most part, they're huge upgrades over the older version. And if you wanna see that full in-depth video, I'll have a link for you in the description below where you can see them all side by side, head to head, get all the details. This is just kind of a quicker, down and dirty shot at the Trident specifically, and we're going to talk about a lot of the pros, a few of the cons, and why I think this is the coolest design of their new AT series. So reason number one is this blade. You gotta love that blacked out finish that comes on these designs. It's going to come with this clip point design, or you can get a modified Tanto, which I've yet to get my hands on, but man, does that Tanto look awesome. It has a nice belly to it, but then a Tanto style tip, which is pretty sick. But I love the clip that has always been classic to the Trident line, and this is no different. So at 3.7 inches overall, you got about 1/8 of an inch. You got a really high saber grind in that massive clip, but still pretty precise, but still giving you strength throughout. It's got this great blending of capability between large, tactical utility, which is how they kind of pitch the knife as it's designed for professionals, is kind of how they term it, but definitely for, military, law enforcement, search and rescue, first responders, those type of people, or just you and me who like big blades and like to carry them out, maybe out in the woods. This is my favorite of the three to carry out hiking and camping because of the large handle and the large blade. And so for that reason, this has a lot of cool factor right out of the gate, because it can not only perform, but it also has an upgraded steel over the old AUS 8 that used to be on the Trident, now is cryo-treated D2 steel, and I love the D2 steel that they put on here. It holds a good edge, definitely a lot better than AUS 8, and it's going to be decently able to put an edge back on it. It's obviously be a little more difficult. The cheaper the steel, the easier it is to put an edge on, but it's going to hold that edge a lot longer, which is a positive. And SOG has always done an awesome job with their cryo treats, and they've always done awesome, and I've seen good results with this D2 steel as well. Now, there are two other cool features on this design that you're not going to get on any of the other AT series, and that's one, you're going to get a glass breaker up front here that you could deploy, break out a car window or break in a car window depending on which side of the vehicle you're in, and that's going to give you an ability to get out or get into the vehicle depending on the situation that you are in. And then the other thing is they give you a very deep, very wide seat belt cutter that works well. It's a cord cutter. I've used it on seat belt. It functions pretty well with that. With paracord and other rope, you don't have to deploy the blade, and it's easily accessible. A lot of these can come off kind of as gimmicks, and I'll be honest, I don't need a cord cutter, but I know some people absolutely do. And the ones that I usually find are kind of, they don't function right, or you really got to manipulate the cord to get it in there. But this has a wider mouth, so it's really easy to get 550 paracord in and slice right through it, and a lot of other types of material as well. So that's another cool factor that this design will carry with it. Another reason why I think this is the coolest knife out of the AT line is that they have just outdone themselves with the design on the handle. This is a large handle, which is good, particularly when you have like leather gloves or cold weather gloves on and you're responding to something, you're using this knife on a regular basis, you're in military, law enforcement, whatever it may be. This has a lot going for it at 5.3 inches. You got a lot of real estate there, and they've really thought that through, giving you really good texturing. Reminds me a lot of several firearms that I own, this kind of stippling, but it's not overly aggressive. I never once was like, man, this is just like thrashing my hand or even thrashing my pocket, with that really well designed blacked out wire pocket clip that is really raised to be able to go over any reinforced double reinforced pocket that a lot of either tactical or just outdoor pants tend to have, and a lot of pocket knives fight to overcome that pocket loop, or the pocket, and the loop has a hard time getting over it. This is designed very well ambidextrously, so right or left will work for that. and it doesn't cause any hot spots at the same time. My hand cuts right into where they have dropped it. It just feels so good in the hand, but it's not overly thick, coming in at about 0.5 and a half, 0.55, 5.9, I believe, on the overall thickness. So it's not this giant beefy thing, even though it still has glass reinforced nylon, you know, texturing, then steel liner, so you have a lot of strength that the old versions didn't offer to you, but still right around the 5-ounce weight class. It doesn't feel like a giant brick in your pocket. So not only are you getting great, large, full ergonomics that you can do a lot of work with for an extended period of time, you never feel like you're actually going to slide up and hurt yourself with small amount of blocky jimping on the thumb ramp and then a nice deep cut in, and there's no sharp angles either that a lot of like tactical or professional knives, quote unquote, would offer to you that tend to cause hot spots and issues. This is warm to the touch, long use capable, but really giving you strength and durability and texture, so you're able to hold on to that knife for an extended period of time, which is a good thing. And then you got a really large lanyard for those of you who want 550 paracord, and it gives you kind of a non-lethal striker back there as well. Now, cool factor also is black and red, just like evil. This thing is evil looking with that clip point, and go ahead and check out those, you know, other versions. They have a serrated version again. They have that modified tanto. So this black and red is one version. They do have more dialed down muted tones, including, I believe, like a moss and OD green kind of looked as well. So if these kind of high vis designs don't pop with you as much and you don't like that pop, they do have more of just a toned down option. But I just love that black and red. Just looks wicked, man. It's evil in its looks. And so the deployment is the next thing, and this is kind of a mixed bag for me. Now, the AT or assisted technology that they've decided to go with is, in my opinion, much better than the old version. I've had all 3 models now for several months and had a lot of play time, pocket time, use time with these knives, and they're still super strong, really nice and snappy, and I can even overcome the spring and close it one-handed. So for an assisted technology type of knife, I enjoy it. I have no issues with it. I put it on par with actually even better than like Kershaw and what I see coming out of CRKT and some of their assisted stuff. Definitely closer to like what you see with a Benchmade in those spring snapping open. It's running on, from what everything I can see in here, bronze bushings. So it's very tough, durable in that regard. Now, to be honest with you, I would have preferred a manual option. I prefer manual in this day and age, and I know a lot of you will as well. So hopefully down the line, maybe they'll do a manual version. But as of right now, it is assisted, and for an assisted knife, it's really snappy and really fun. Now, the other good thing is that it's completely ambidextrous, again, with those screws, thumb studs in there that make it very easy to engage, even with larger leather gloves or cold weather gloves on. So another really good positive. And then their XR locking mechanism, which operates similarly to a Benchmade Axis lock. When the Axis lock's patent dropped, a lot more knife companies could start manufacturing knives with similar designs. It's rated for 1,500 pounds. I haven't hung you know, my car off of this, so I couldn't tell you if it's actually rated for that, but I like it, and I way prefer it over their old kind of plunge lock design. And you have that bar right there that just moves back and forth, and again, totally ambidextrous. And you depress that, and again, if it was manual, I could snap it back and forth, like a lot of my Spydercos with their ball bearing, or Benchmades with their Axis lock. Or Hogue, you know, with some of their locking mechanisms. Can't do that, but it's a very good lock. It's very strong, and they've even thought through the strength factor, giving you a secondary stop, including that huge stop bar right there. The thumb studs will act as a secondary stop pin, and it's very solid, rock solid. I don't have any wobble on this knife, and if you know anything about old SOG models, man, those things were loosey-goosey, rocking all over the place. This has maybe microns side to side and none up and down. This thing is rock solid and has been for months now, and I love that about this blade. The thing I'm not super excited about is their safety mechanism. Now, I've seen a few videos of people taking apart the blade. They're able to remove the safety mechanism. For me, I don't need a safety mechanism, and if they were gonna have one in this design, I would prefer more like a Benchmade, just like switch on the back spine, you know, where you could just toggle back and forth if you wanted to, but keeping it very flush. This just kind of throws off the symmetry of the knife. It's just a polymer little tab, basically. Red is dead, and so that means that you can deploy it. Any hot spots, it just sits right perfectly in the webbing. So the ergonomic issue really isn't there. I've not had a single problem with it or been like, oh, this is causing me issues and I can't use the knife because it's there. And then when you want to engage it, you just push it and now I can't deploy the knife. So it does what it's supposed to do. I just don't need it. I've never had an assisted open knife accidentally open on me. And if I did have an assist safety, I wish it was just a more flush design in my opinion. So not a huge fan of the way it's designed and located, but it does get the job done. And so I've shared with you all the absolutely cool aspects to this knife, but the one not so cool aspect over all others is the price tag for this design. Now it is obviously the largest in their series. It has, you know, Taiwanese made Cryo D2. It has great fit and finish. I'm seeing no issues overall with any of the performance, layout, ergonomics. I'm happy with the design, but at $95, that is a steep price point for other knives. As an example here, like the Cold Steel Recon 1 and S35 VN steel, full G10, rock solid locking mechanism, thicker blade with a saber grind as well. Lots of different, you know, options out there. Usually about $85 to $90. So it's right around that same price point, but it's going to have a better quality steel made in Taiwan as well. And it does have G10 versus the glass reinforced nylon, even though this does have stainless steel locking liners in it. And so I just wish that it was maybe more around like the $80, maybe the $75 mark would have made a lot more sense to me. Maybe as time goes on, they'll drop a little bit because that is MSRP, but that's where it's going for on all the websites that I'll have for you guys below, Blade HQ, Amazon, GP Knives, Smoky Mountain Knife Works. They're all gonna have it and they're all gonna be running about $95. And for $10 less, I can get a Recon 1 with a better steel on it and no assisted feature and no, you know, safety mechanism to think about. So those are things that you just have to weigh. Now, as a standalone knife, I am absolutely in love, and it is on my short list of EDC knives I love to throw in rotation. I love taking out hiking, camping, backpacking, that type of stuff. It's definitely on the short list, and in many ways competes with my Recon 1. If it's a scenario where I want to take the Recon 1, I'm like, might be taking the Trident today, and oftentimes I go with it. But there are other blades out there that you have to consider when you are looking at the Trident for the $95 price point is a little steep to me. But if you connect with it, if the design, if the features, maybe you have an old Trident that you love and you just want to upgrade, I think in every way this is even cooler and better laid out and stronger than the last generation of Tridents that were out there. I think it's absolutely worth taking a look at, and that's why I threw down my money to pick this guy up and give you guys this in-depth video on the Trident itself. And if you want to check out some of the other videos that have to do with the AT series, again, check out that link popping up in the description below for you, where you can see that in-depth, full-length feature film length video on the Trident, the Flash, and the Aegis side by side. So guys, thank you so much for coming over today. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, comments below. Look forward to hearing that dialogue and having that conversation with you on what your thoughts are on with the Trident and this newest rendition and series of the AT line. And check out the other video popping up. Subscribe if you're not a current subscriber. Become part of the GT family here. You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook as well. And finally, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.